With your connection to agriculture, I'm Joanna Guza. The 2022 Census of Agriculture was released on February 13th. The census is conducted by the National Agricultural Statistics Service, or also known as NASS, and it is done every 5 years to share the impact of agriculture per state and as a nation. This is a big report, and today we are just going to focus on Wisconsin agriculture. I am joined with the DACCAP Secretary, Randy Romanski, to share some insight on Wisconsin agriculture, and in particular from the census data. Well, Secretary Romanski, can you share some key takeaways on the census in regards to Wisconsin agriculture?
Thanks, Joanna, for having me join you today. There's a lot of data here. As you said, it comes out every 5 years, but of course, we're really excited to see this data because it helps us make decisions here in our agency, and it helps us with how we interact with the industry. A couple takeaways that I have. Number one is it confirms that the strength of Wisconsin's agriculture is its diversity. We have such a diverse agriculture industry in the state of Wisconsin. We're clearly known as America's dairyland. We're darn proud of that. But there are so many other grains, specialty crops, livestock. Our farmers kind of have it all. And that's one of the things that was, I think, highlighted in the current census data. The other thing that it indicated, in my opinion, is the strength of Wisconsin's agriculture economy. You know, there are obviously changes year to year that we need to be aware of, but it really focuses on how agriculture has been part of our past, it's part of our present, but it's a really important part of the future. And that is exciting because as we project forward, agriculture is going to continue to be a very strong part of Wisconsin's economy.
And we're going to jump into some opportunities and challenges and the future generations. But first, Secretary Romanski, I'd like you to share like a specific example of how DACCAP uses the census data.
Oh, yeah, there are so many. I'm glad you asked me for just one specific one, Joanna, because I could go on for a long time. The data is really key because, again, it's every 5 years, and we take this snapshot and it helps us identify programs, how we develop opportunities to work with farmers, with the industry. And one example that I would provide is that even with the really strong financial status of Wisconsin agriculture and Wisconsin agriculture economy, it's a really stressful job. It's not a 9-to-5 job. Farmers are working really hard all the time to get their product from farm gate to dinner plate, and we appreciate that. But it's also stressful. And what we can see from census data about, you know, where agriculture is happening, you know, who farmers are, where they're located, how the economy is going, and it can help us develop programs. And one that I would point to is the Farm Center programming. Farm Center's been around since the mid 80s. I talk about it every time I talk to people. They provide really important services, mediation services, consulting services, whole herd diagnostics. But one of the things that we've learned is over the last 5 years is we've added programming for farmer mental health capacities to help with that stressful time that we want farmers to know that there's somebody that they can call 24/7, Joanna. The phone is available. We want people to be able to access it, to just be a friendly voice, help them through a stressful time. And that's one of those programs that we've developed over the last 5 years just to make sure that we're evolving with the needs of farmers.
One headline I feel people will see when they see that this data was released is that there is a decline in total number of U.S. farms. But one item I want to point out is we are seeing a rise in young producers. Can you speak to that and what opportunities you see for Wisconsin agriculture?
Yeah, that's a great question, Joanna. One of the things this points out is that farmers in general are aging as looking at the national numbers. You highlighted a really important one, which is young. There are a lot of young farmers. We are fortunate to see that about 10% of Wisconsin producers are younger than 35 years old, which is more than the average. So in a state like Wisconsin, people who are younger see that there is a future in agriculture in Wisconsin. There are opportunities, and they can play an important part of that moving ahead. So I look at that data point and seeing that we're kind of ahead of the curve. And actually, a lot of the Midwestern states are ahead of the curve on having younger farmers coming in or taking over farms. That's pretty exciting because, again, agriculture is part of our past, present, and future, and we need to have people who are seeing that future and jumping into it. And I think we are seeing that.
Whether it's looking at the Ag Census data or just in your role in general, what challenges do you see for agriculture in the next 5 years?
A lot of what I'll say here is what I take from my conversations with farmers and businesses, and that's, access to markets and employees, workforce. And I'll take those separately, and I'll try to get through them relatively quickly. But, access to markets is really unique because Wisconsin, again, speaking to the diversity of what's produced here, Wisconsin products are all over the world. And we have a small international agribusiness center team here that is helping get Wisconsin products all over the world. In fact, we've been fortunate. Governor Evers and the legislature have agreed on giving some funding for programming to support increasing exports. So that's exciting. The challenge is there are a lot of things going on beyond all of our control in the international marketplace right now. What's going on in the Red Sea, what's going on in Ukraine, trade issues in China that are challenges. But what I would say is, because of the governor providing this funding, because of our staff having these connections to Wisconsin businesses, we have tools available to help us mitigate some of that and keep trying to find new markets for Wisconsin products. So that's one. And then the other one is workforce. I hear so many people talking about it, Joanna, that they're looking for people. And I'm going to be shameless here and say that the Department of Agriculture, Trade, and Consumer Protection is also hiring. And so I opened the door and went through it. We are always recruiting as well. I mean, we're in the same job market as everybody else. And so it's really important that wherever we can as an agency, wherever we can as state government, try to provide some resources to help with some of those workforce challenges.
Well, the Governor Evers also declared 2024 as the year of the worker. What has the census data shared with us in terms of the ag workforce, and what resources does DATCAP provide for young people that want to pursue a career in agriculture?
Yeah, thanks for that question. That is really kind of at the core of what we are looking for the workforce issues. Really appreciate the governor's focus on workforce in 2024, and he's charged all agencies to do what they can to help. So here's what we're trying to do, Joanna, to kind of focus on the opportunity for people in agriculture. There are so many ways to access agriculture in the state. 1 in 9 people in the state of Wisconsin works in a job related to agriculture and food production. And so there are a lot of jobs. There are veterinarians, there are food safety specialists, there are custom applicators, there are people who are working in laboratories, marketers. I could go on, but those are all the opportunities that are out there. So what is DATCAP doing? DATCAP's going to involve with a couple of programs that we're really excited about because it keeps us connected to the youth, the future of agriculture. The first is the Ag Youth Council. Each year, we invite 15 incoming high school seniors from around the state to join us each month so that we can talk to them about the programs DATCAP provides, how we interact with the agriculture industry, and explain what their career pathways are. It's really exciting. And Joanna, you get a sneak peek on this. We're going to be announcing that we're accepting applications for the new Ag Youth Council next week. So you've got the scoop on this because you asked the question. But the thing to remember for anybody who hears this is we make sure that there are young people on this council that are representative of all parts of the state. We really get a really geographically diverse group of young people that are a part of this. And they're also from different backgrounds, including some that are not from an agriculture background. And so that's one of the things we're doing to speak to the future workforce, including people that might find their way into agriculture. Another one I wanted to mention is something called the Wisconsin Ag Education and Workforce Development Council. That's a mouthful. It's about 3 dozen people from the industry and from DATCAP, Department of Workforce Development, Department of Public Instruction. We are working on a systemic approach to kind of create and open and explain career pathways to the industry. So this is the industry working with us to identify those opportunities and to get young people into those careers in agriculture that are going to help sustain our economy for the future.
Right. And I want you to help me emphasize this point because as I've taken on this position in radio, I I want the young people to know that when they're a part of agriculture, they're a part of a huge industry. I think about the millennials, the Gen Zers that want to be making a difference. And this is the industry you can truly make a difference in your life and have purpose.
Oh my gosh, yes. You put into words what we feel every day. It's, think about the opportunities to feed your neighbors and feed the world. And that's it's a great opportunity. It's also a big responsibility. And again, there are so many ways, so many different access points. I mentioned the 1 in 9 people working in jobs related to agriculture and food. I'm going to broaden that out and say agriculture is a $104.8 billion industry in Wisconsin. It's huge, and we are going to continue to be one of the places in the United States that does help feed our neighbors and the world. So career opportunities are plentiful. Some of the reports that are coming out about the census data with farmers aging and things of that nature. Again, what that means to me is the opportunities that are there for young people who want to make this a career, a lifestyle, a vocation, a calling, as it were. The opportunities are so many. So I'm glad you pointed that out, Joanna.
Last question as we wrap up this interview. How does the census help us think about the future of Wisconsin agriculture?
Yeah, the thing to remember about the census is this is a 5-year snapshot, so it's looking at a window of time, and it's kind of a checkup, right? Like, how are we doing right now? And again, one of the things that it kind of highlighted is that farmers are aging a little bit, but that over the last 5 years, agriculture has done well. Farmers are feeling good about the income that they've seen over the last 5 years, and there's also the opportunity to look ahead and prepare ourselves, because again, there are market situations beyond our control. The thing that it really helps me think about is I'll go back to where we started. Agriculture in Wisconsin is strong and diverse, and it's an important part of our economy today, tomorrow, years down the line. And again, go back to the opportunity for people who are thinking about where they want to be, what they want to be doing 5-10 years from now. Agriculture is a really rock solid foundation for our state.
We've been talking with DATCP Secretary Randy Romanski about the Ag Census, and we also make sure we keep you updated on the DATCP releases. They are always available on our website. Well, thank you, Randy, for your time and speaking with us today.
Thank you, Joanna. I really appreciate it.
And that's your Connection to Agriculture. I'm Joanna Guza.